Hello everyone and welcome back to the Colour Cave where we like to play with art stuff. Today we're going to continue on with our nameplate page in Imagimorphia by Kerby Rosane. And since the last time I have seen you, all I have done is finish off this green section round the outside. Now just to recap, I started with cream in the very centre. And then I went to sort of yellowy, orangey colours and then out to the green. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom in a little bit and let you see what I've done, because I know some of you will want to follow quite closely. So there is what I have done. And if you remember, I started off round this side and I worked round here. So this section round the top half is the new part. So I can just give you a little second. Obviously you can pause the video as well to see what I've done. I didn't do anything different to what I was doing though. There was nothing new, there's nothing special, but it's just to let you see a little bit more closely what I have been up to. I do feel that with videos like this, they do suit this more Chatorial style because some of it is quite repetitive. So there isn't any point in, you know, repeating myself a gajillion times. So on my little post-it note here, I've listed the colours that I've used, and it's just because sometimes there can be quite a gap between filming videos and I quite often forget what I was using. So the colours that I've used for the green section, what have I done with them? They're over here. Come on, Jem. Where they're all Prismacolors. We're working in Prismacolors. Spring green, which was PC913. I have grass green, PC909. Chartreuse, PC989. And finally the apple green, which is PC912. So those were my previous colours. Now I've changed my mind a little bit on the sequence that we're going through as we work from the middle to the outside. So I'm going to go for aqua type shades now. So I've picked out 4 colours here. The first one that's in the pencil extender that you can't see is the cobalt turquoise, and literally there is about a millimetre of pencil shoved into this extender. That's how small it's getting. I do have a backup one. I have a new one right here just in case we get to that stage and we have to do that. So I came prepared today. I also have parrot green, which is PC1006. I have light aqua, PC992, and finally aquamarine, which is PC905. So that's the next set of colours we're going to be working with in the next band, if you like. If you remember, we'd drawn out our pencil lines before. So I'm going to start down in this bottom right hand quarter like I did last time. And the first thing I want to do before I get going with the coloured pencils is I'm just going to rub out a little bit of the graphite lines that I had put in. Now if you remember, when I was colouring, I'd stopped just short of them. But now what I want to do is take them away so that they don't muddy the coloured pencil as I'm using it. Because now obviously I have the line of the last coloured pencil to use as my guideline. So I'm going to stop it there. And that means I can work with this whole section and I don't have to keep erasing things. So exactly like I did before, not anything different. I'm just using these colours at random, these 4 colours. I have my greens beside me here on the right as well though, because there may be parts where I want to blend the 2 colours in together. So I need to use the colour from the previous ring, which is the greens, to mix in with the aqua shades that I've got now. So let's see what we've got here. Where do we start? I think we'll start with this little flower here. It's not a flower, it's a branch, maybe. Okay, and all I'm going to do again is I'm thinking about the shading in terms of just using one pencil, and it's just to make it that little bit more interesting. Colouring them in flat colour is still going to look interesting because we've got all this other stuff going on with the method that we're using, but it's something that I like to do. And again, I'm not shy of the white of the paper showing through. I actually quite like it, so I'm quite happy to do you know, to do a gradient just with one pencil going from light to dark or whatever. And yeah, I'm just going to work my way around now as we did. So this section, just the way I've drawn it in, it's actually quite broad. So I'm just going to work my way outward first until I reach my threshold line before I start going around in a circular motion, you know, working my way around the outside. If that makes sense. That almost made sense. So let's just get a little bit of colour down here. I'm going to have to get my fine liner out and give this dude some eyes. Honestly, I can't cope with this. Have a dig about, see what I've got. There's one there. I hate my little guys not having any eyes. That rhymes. See, he looks so much happier with some eyeballs. Yay! Well, I know he's got eyeballs, but pupils. He's got pupils. So same thing as before, I can just see my pencil line here, so I'm stopping just short of it and no more. Now I think this knobbly bit in here actually belongs to the leaf. I don't think he's got an extra arm or anything like that. I know he's a funny little creature, but I think he's only got 2 arms. Nearly missed that there. So we'll make him all that colour. That's fine. There we go. So it's Monday here just now when I'm filming, and I am in a surprisingly good mood for a Monday. Monday is it's usually my least favourite day of the week because in terms of work I have a absolute mountain of paperwork that needs to get done on a Monday, and it just generally puts me in a bad mood. So the fact that I'm feeling quite chirpy today is nice, but I'm also filming back-to-back videos just now. I'm just trying to get ahead a little bit. Normally I do have a lot of videos stacked up, like I maybe have like two and a bit weeks worth of videos. But that's kind of been put on the back burner because there's been a lot of bonus videos and there's been other things going on. Behind, but only behind in my eyes, not in terms of actually having a video out for you on time. But because I am going to be quite preoccupied in the coming weeks with weddings and one thing and another, I need to get ahead again. So today was a day to film 2 videos. What we would call in Scotland a double dunter when you do things back to back. I am double dunting the videos today. But I have everything else done, all the housework is done, and Jock and the girls have been out for a WALK. Can't say it out loud because I've got 2 out of 3 of them in here. So, so yeah, that's it's I am feeling quite good today, which is nice. I have not, and I'm starting to sort of feel a little bit guilty in myself. I haven't been out for a run for a week and a half. There's so much other stuff going on, and I really need to go for a run. So that's tomorrow morning's plan. But I've also got an appointment at the opticians at some silly hour in the morning as well, so I might be too pushed for time, but I'm definitely, like, if I don't get out tomorrow, I am running on Wednesday, come hell or high water. That is happening. I'm kind of missing it, and the weather's good now as well, so that makes me want to run even more. So that's my plan. But yeah, there just seems to be a lot of stuff going on just now, and I'm like, I'm always busy anyway. I'm a person that's always busy, but I'm very good at keeping myself organised and making sure that I have time for myself, and it's something that I do deliberately. But the last couple of weeks have just totally run away with me, and I'm just like, oh, this is not good. So we're going to remedy that situation in the next few days. I've got myself quite organised today as well though, which I think is why I'm in a good mood also, because when I feel organised, I feel better about myself, and I feel that I'm, you know, a productive member of society, as it were. Oh dear. So I'm just trying to kind of look at the contours of this this T-Rex's face, and I'm just trying to pick out where the lighter areas would be. So like under his nostrils, that's going to be quite dark, because on top's where, you know, you would see the most light bouncing off him, I think. I don't know how shiny dinosaurs are. I don't know how shiny their scales would be, or I suppose that's up for debate because nobody really knows for sure, do they? Their shininess. I remember as a very small child being taken to a dinosaur exhibition, and I'm pretty sure it was like a class trip, and the man that was showing us around, you know, like the tour guide kind of guy, was saying that there's absolutely no evidence that there weren't pink and purple spotty dinosaurs. And we had been explicitly told by our teacher, because we were doing like a class project on dinosaurs, and our teacher kept telling us that they wouldn't have been those kind of colours because they wouldn't have had any camouflage, or, you know, especially for the ones that weren't predatory. So when this chap said this to us in this exhibition, there was this uproar and cacophony of small children going, "No, they wouldn't. Don't be silly. They're never going to be that colour." And our teacher was absolutely mortified. It was really funny, and I have no idea why that sticks out in my head. I must have been very young at that point, because that would have been primary school, and it would probably have been early primary school as well, I would think. But it's something that makes me chuckle. It really sticks in my mind. And that was great fun. It was such a good time. Ah, yes. Oh, the joys of youth. I've got little petals here as well. These are quite cute. I have to say there isn't a huge amount of differentiation in the colours between the pencils that I've picked, apart from the very dark cobalt turquoise, but that's okay. I'll just vary my pressure a bit in certain places and we'll get that little bit of contrast that we want. It'll be okay, it'll be fine. Pop that in there. The tiniest like part of his jaw here is actually on this side of the pencil line, but it's that fiddly that I'm just going to leave it and make it whatever colour I'm putting in this next, you know, ring, and that'll be okay. I spent ages earlier on looking at this and trying to figure out if it was like a sea anemone or something, but it's a piece of rope. I looked at it and I was like, oh come on, Jem. Oh, for goodness sake. So I'm assuming that this must be a piece of rope as well, but again I kind of went for more the you know, in my head it was more of a something that grows on the seabed. Excuse my tea. We have the mandatory cup of tea. Yeah, so let's go back to this darker colour now. Get this in. I really like this cobalt turquoise colour. Hence the reason it's one of my shortest pencils. I don't know if you heard that. That was like a massive sigh from Jock. He looks like a cat. He's curled up and his nose is tucked under his tail. He's curled into a little ball. He's funny. He makes me laugh. I kind of did everything back to front today. Normally I wander with my dogs sort of late afternoon after I've finished my own work. But I had to do things later on for work today, so I ended up taking them out nearer lunchtime. And I think it's confused everybody a little bit, because when I did finish my work they all jumped up and sat at the door because they thought it was time to go OUT. And I felt kind of bad. I was like, I'm really sorry, but no, we've done that bit already. And especially Pip, it's the look that she gives you. And you're just like, I'm sorry, it's just not the way the game works. It's things like that I wish I could explain. You know, you can explain those things to small children and they will, you know, they will get an idea of what's going on, but with dogs you can't communicate those things, and it's yeah, it's a bit frustrating because I wish I could, because it's just the look on their face. You're like, oh no, don't look at me like that. Why are you looking at me like that? You're making me feel bad. Just deciding what to do here now. This one? Yeah, well, this one. I've just realised there's a tiny tip of that butter. Oh, chucking things about. Tiny tip of that butterfly wing that belongs that colour. There we go. I find this page quite therapeutic because of the way that we're doing it. And I've found myself, since I filmed the last one, I have found myself wanting to come back and film the next section. You know, I'm really kind of motivated to do it. And I think it's just because it's fun and I'm enjoying it. That's always a really good sign when you're colouring something. If you've got that motivation to keep going with a page, it's slightly different if you are a newer colourist. And when I say that, I mean, you know, if you've been colouring for maybe less than a year, you naturally have that enthusiasm because you know it's a new venture for you, so to speak. When you've been colouring a lot longer, it's sometimes you really don't have a motivation, and it's usually to finish a page, and you get to a point where you just want it done and you end up rushing it. And I'm sure I'm not the only person that's felt that way and then regretted it later. So it's nice to have that motivation to want to, you know, continue on what we're doing here. And yeah, I thought, you know what, if I've got to film back to back anyway, I might as well do one of the videos that I'm, you know, like I'm jonesing to do. It's not that I don't want to film my other videos, because most of my videos are fun, but this one's just really relaxed, and that's, you know, that's quite nice. I like that. I do find filming, like, see, more of like the tutorial style videos, I do find them a bit more stressful, but obviously there's just a bit more work involved in that rather than just sitting here chatting away, colouring in. So yeah, it's just a different kind of feeling. But the other thing about these Chatorial videos as well, notwithstanding like a major disaster, they're really easy to edit as well. There's not a huge amount of work to do when it comes to editing. Whereas again with the other videos, oh goodness me, there's a lot. So I've got a quick sharpen here. I do, the Chatorial videos, and even my drawing chat video that I did recently, link that in the end card in the description in case you haven't seen it. Although I was kind of struggling to begin with, once I got into it, it was the same sort of thing. It was quite a relaxing pursuit. So these are definitely in with my, you know, my sort of favourite types of videos to film. I do enjoy doing the challenge videos though, because it pushes me a little bit, and there is also that chance that something will go wrong, which obviously is much more entertaining for you guys. People tell me all the time that the watercolour videos I did when I first tried watercolour, that made them laugh no end, because I was so frustrated and I kept making mistakes. So I'm glad that people are getting some enjoyment out of out of my blunders. It's always good for a giggle. I'm not frightened to laugh at myself though. You guys know as well, I don't try and pretend I'm something I'm not. I'm new at something, and if I'm new at something, I'm going to make mistakes. That's the way the game works. So, yeah. That's quite funny though. But these are good. These are good. I like these. I haven't coloured anything in Kerby Rosane's books for ages as well, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm really, you know, I was really wanting to get on and do a bit more on it, because I enjoy colouring his stuff very much. Very, very much. It's one of my favourites, is Mr. Rosane's. I like his work. I just think he's an amazing artist. I really do. This looks like a little cat or something, doesn't it? Well, it is a cat. It doesn't look like a cat. It is a cat, but it's got a very bushy tail. Right, I think we'll go this one. See, these colours are quite close together, so I'm deliberately using a really heavy pressure on this one, just so I've got that, you know, you can see the contrast in the colours, because when you do work with them lightly, they do look very similar, unless you're really screwing your face up at them. I'll be okay over here, but just around this sort of tail area of this little cat. Squish it in there. Oh, I went over the lines. Oh no. What are we going to do? I have brought this line really far down here. I don't think it should be that far down. I can't move it now though, that's the problem. I suppose I could move it. I could move it a little bit. Maybe. She says. I'm just going to keep it where it is. I'm trying my hardest to go around these little dots on the toadstools here. I may have to go back in with some sort of white pen, because I've gone over quite a few bits that I didn't really mean to, but we'll get there. Now, this section here, technically this should all be very dark on the underside of this toadstool because it is underneath, but I think I'm just going to go for like a flicky motion. And just have it at its darkest in at this, you know, in the middle part. I watched a really interesting film last night on Netflix, and it was called Snowpiercer. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever seen this film. It is based on a book, which I didn't find out until afterwards. And the idea behind the story is that the human race has tried to halt global warming by creating a substance that they will shoot up into the atmosphere that will lower the, you know, the global temperature. And they make a miscalculation and the entire world freezes over, and basically everybody dies. However, there's this sort of mad scientist type dude who knew this was going to happen. You know, he predicted that that's what would happen, and he builds this train, and you can buy tickets for this train. We didn't really get much of the backstory in that because the story starts with these people on the train. But there must have been an option for people to get a ticket for this train. And basically he has built a railway line that goes all the way around the world, and it takes 1 year to go one full circuit. And he creates this living ecosystem within all these train carriages. And the story starts with the people that are basically, they've been slung in there in the tail section, which is the poor people who couldn't afford first class or economy tickets. And it's basically like a story of their rebellion and trying to get to the front of the train. It was really, really interesting, but I just thought that it was such an odd concept, and they could have done a bit more with it, if I'm honest. It kind of has like a slight Hunger Games feel to it, you know, there's this sort of dystopian feel about it, and it was quite good. And there's quite a lot of famous faces in it as well. Chris Evans is the kind of main character, John Hurt's in it, and who was the other person that I recognised? Oh, I can't remember now. Yeah, for any British folk, if any of you have ever watched Skins, the chap that played, oh, what's his name? This is terrible. I can't remember his name. Anyway, there's a guy in there that played one of the sort of main male characters in Skins at one point. Luke Pasqualino is his name, is his actual name, but I can't remember the name of his character in Skins. But anyway. So yeah, it was quite interesting. But there's two characters in the story, and I think in the story they're talking in Korean, and they have these little translator things so that when you're talking to someone you can speak cross language and it'll spit out, you know, whatever it is that you speak so that you can understand. It's like just like a translator. And in the very last part of the story there is this great conversation, and it's obviously a critical part of the storyline. There is this great conversation that goes on between the main character and this Korean guy, and they don't translate it. You don't hear the translator speaking it out in English. So for the last section of what is obviously a really important part of the story, I had no idea what was being said by this guy in Korean, and I found it really, really frustrating because it almost ruined the end of the film. So I don't know whether that was intentional. I'm assuming it was intentional and you were supposed to figure it out for yourself. But I found it really frustrating, and it kind of ruined the film for me a little bit, if I'm going to be honest. It was still a good film, but it was just a bit sort of... Because previous, you know, like prior to that, when any conversations were being had, if it was cross-lingual, you were able to hear it in English through the translator. You know, the little translator machine. So I just found it quite strange that they omitted that in what is obviously a very serious and critical conversation. So did get a little bit frustrating, but still a good film. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it. It is pretty gruesome in parts though, so if you don't like violence and a lot of fighting, then perhaps not. But I really like things like that. So that was last night's entertainment. There was one of those ones that I don't know if anybody ever like actually watches regular TV in the UK on a Sunday night, but there is nothing on. We're not big TV watchers in our house, but it was that time of night where, you know, it was too early to go to bed, but we didn't really want to start doing anything major, and I didn't feel like drawing or colouring or anything, and Mr. Jem was like, just want to kind of chill out, so we thought, oh, we'll put a film on, but that was what we'd settled on, so it was reasonably good. I do watch a lot more films now. I'm sure it was the last video for this page. I talked about Mr. Jem's ridiculous love of all things movie, and his movie trivia is outstanding. And I do watch a lot more films now than I used to, and I can solely put that down to him. But some of the ones he watches, I'm like, what are you watching? But he is one of these people, he will watch anything. I'm quite fussy when it comes to stuff like that. But the thing I find with Netflix, and I don't know if I'm the only person, I'd love to know anybody else's point of view in the comments. When you're flicking through the menus on Netflix looking for a film to watch, the descriptions, you know, the short description that comes up beside the trailer, 9 times out of 10 does absolutely nothing for the film. You know, it doesn't make you want to watch them because they're so corny and so cheesy. This man started in the depths of despair and now he's going to prove the world otherwise. And you're like, yeah, okay. That doesn't make me want to watch this film. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but yeah, that makes me laugh. Right, I'm going to try and follow on my little shiny bit on my little fishy friend here. So that's going to be really pale up there. And there we go. That's not too bad. It's going to be a bit darker in there. I think I'm trying to figure out what this is in here. I don't know whether it's like waves, because there's waves down here. But I've always identified these as waves in Kerby's pictures, but because there's some sea life round about, that makes more sense. I don't know what's going on over here with Mr. Bear right enough, because I think this is clouds, not sea, but hey, who am I to judge? I don't know. The only thing that I'm not happy with right now is just where this line has unfortunately cut this off at the fish's head, and it kind of ruins that gradual gradient between the two, but I was going to hit something like that at some point somewhere in the picture, so there's not really an awful lot I can do about it. But it's a little bit annoying because we've worked so hard to make sure everything else is really soft and really gradual, and then all of a sudden we've got this fish that's got his head cut off and he's got a two-tone head and body. Never mind. Never mind. Okay, let's go in here. I'm gonna have to rub out some more graphite now. My Derwent eraser, the top on it's needing changed. I've not got very much eraser left in there, but the replacement erasers are in a box inside another box under 3 other boxes in a cupboard elsewhere in the house. So like, yeah, we'll just manage this picture. We'll change it later. Okay, I have no idea what pencil I just used there. I think it was the light aqua. Pretty sure it was the light aqua. So I'm going to go... No, I want to keep the dark one for in here. So I'm not going to go darkest colour. Yeah, I'll go aquamarine then. This should blend in reasonably well with our chartreuse colour. She says, hopefully. Yeah, it'll be fine. I'm really pleased that a lot of you are enjoying this as well, and I've had quite a few people contact me saying thanks so much for doing this because I didn't really know what I was going to do with it, and that was kind of the whole idea of using this sort of concept, you know, this method, because I'm perfectly aware a lot of people miss out on Kerby's art and colouring his colouring pages because they find them really intimidating. So I'm really glad to be of service. So no need to thank me because I'm having great fun too. But I totally understand it, like I really do. The first time I saw one of his books, I did, obviously having never heard of him and being a novice colourist, I'd only ever encountered Johanna Basford before that, and I was just absolutely gobsmacked at the level of detail, and I was like, people colour these? Like what? Why would they do that? Have they got a death wish? And you know, I really enjoy it now. I like having things with lots of detail to, you know, like really sink my teeth into. It's something that just really appeals to me. And I know it's not for everyone, and that is totally okay. Completely okay. Trying to get these darker bits in first where he's put the extra lines in, you know, it's almost like a little bit of hatching. I'm really not happy with this blend here either. I'm going to have to fix that. That's not going the way I wanted it to at all. So I had a phone call from the P.O. Box place yesterday to tell me that there's a package there for me. Now, they don't normally phone you when when you get letters in your mailbox, but if you get something that doesn't fit in your mailbox, they phone you because after a few days they start charging you to hold parcels because obviously it doesn't fit in your box. So they've given me a ring to say that there's something in the P.O. Box for me. So I'm hoping at some point this week, bearing in mind that this is Monday, that I am going to have the chance to go and pick up whatever it is, and I'm a little bit excited, I'm not gonna lie. It was like someone sent something to my PO box. So yeah, if it's anything exciting, I shall report back. I was saying to Mr. Jem the other night though, it wouldn't surprise me, like honestly would not surprise me if my brother or someone, you know, sent me something stupid like a prank thing just to wind me up. My brother actually sent me a picture the other night, and all of the kids, I've got 2 nephews and a niece, and they were all sat on the couch, and my brother had put YouTube up on the TV, and their TV is gigantic, like it is massive, and here's my big fat face talking away, and the kids are all sitting watching. I was like, oh dear lord, what are you doing? Get that off. But apparently the kids love watching it, and it's honestly, it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know how I feel about that. But Papa Jem watches as well. He's quite interested in it all, and he'll say to me, you know, if we're speaking on the phone or whatever, he'll say, oh, I watched, you know, such and such a video. And he doesn't try and like critique it or anything. He just likes to, you know, to kind of see what's going on and stuff, which I think is really cool. But it's funny because I don't find it weird my dad watching them, but my nephews and my niece, I find that quite, I don't know how I feel about that. I really don't. But never mind. I think it's kind of cute that they like it though, because all of them are cute. They're super cute. So yeah, it's one of those things that's taken a little bit of getting used to, but that's okay. The other thing I've noticed as well is, right, it's not something you would bring up in conversation, you know, just for the sake of mentioning it, but I don't tell people that I've got a YouTube channel. I genuinely don't. It's not something that people need to know. And the odd time that it has come up in conversation, everyone's like, you've got a YouTube channel? Like it's, you know, like I've walked on the surface of the moon. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, that's really cool. Oh, okay, like, can I watch your videos? I'm like, oh, please don't. Please don't. I don't know why. It's stupid because obviously like this stuff's broadcast out to anyone that wants to watch it, but for people that know me like in real life, I don't know, I find it slightly uncomfortable, and I don't know if it's something I'm going to get used to or not, but I don't know. It's something that's all new to me, so you know, you just have to kind of deal with these things as they come and figure them out, I suppose. But yeah. It's funny how we react in different ways to different things. I mean, it sounds really silly. Even saying it out loud, it sounds silly, but I get kind of embarrassed about it. And I don't know why. There's no reason for me to be embarrassed about it, but I don't know. Just like, I don't know. I have had quite a few emails as well the last few days. You guys crack me up, and people are like, I can't believe I'm talking to you. Why? I'm just a person. I'm like a normal person that just happens to colour and draw and put it on the internet. And, you know, people are saying like, oh, I don't expect a response from you. Why would I not respond? You guys know that I like to interact with you, and I like that, you know, we're building a little community here. Why would I not respond to your emails? It's not, especially now while the channel's small, I'm taking advantage of it, because if something happens and the channel does get really big, I'm not going to be able to answer every single comment or message or email because there'll just be too many. So, you know, this is a great opportunity. But to think that someone wouldn't email you back, to me, that's just rude. Why would you do that to someone? That's rude. Of course I'm going to email you back. So please don't be like that, because it's weird. I'm just a person. It's just little Jem. Yeah, things are getting a little bit complicated in here. I think I'm going to have to regroup my pencils a little bit and see what I'm going to... It's just so that I don't end up with, you know, 2 objects the same colour that are next to each other, because obviously they're just going to blend into each other, and that's what we don't want, because we want all of the detail to stand out in this picture. It's kind of important. Oh, there's a big sigh again. He's unreal, honestly. Right, so this little Kerby creature can be this colour. Another one that needs some eyes. I was chuckling away at your comments the other day as well. Someone had said about they were watching, you know, my video. I think it was maybe the farm video, and they were telling their kids that I was Scottish, and the little one said, "But I can understand what she's saying." I just thought that was absolutely hilarious. Kids are so funny. They make me laugh. They really do. It's like, you can understand though, because, you know, not a lot of people realise where Scotland is or that it's part of the UK, and before anyone says anything, we're not British, we're Scottish. We are just part of the union of the British Isles, but no one would, well, I wouldn't be offended if someone said, oh, you're British, but when people say, oh, I love the English, I'm like, well, I'm not English, so, you know, it's just one of those. But yeah, and I do notice, and this is not, I'm not trying to be disparaging or negative, but I notice that a lot of Americans will say, oh, I love British things, and really what they mean by that, and it's not their fault, is that they like very English things, you know, and a lot of it is like a posh London accent. People are like, oh, I love a British accent, and I'm like, well, no, that's an English accent, and it's a Southern English accent. So things like that, it's just one of those things though where we are a little country, and it's the same for Ireland and Wales as well, and we all get lumped in with England all the time because everyone thinks that the south of England that like epitomises being British. No, it doesn't. There's a lot more to it than that. I don't suppose it's any worse though than someone calling someone that's American Canadian or vice versa, or the same with New Zealand and Australia. I don't know, you guys can let me know. But yeah, it's quite irritating because everyone's all like, oh, you know, like Union Jack flags and Earl Grey tea, and we're like, oh no, it's not, that's just an English thing. But it's quite interesting. It's back to that whole geographical thing again. I mean, most things are similar. Bearing in mind, I did live in England for a little while, and everything's more or less the same, but it's all the little things that you notice. And yeah, it just makes you know that, you know, it just reminds you that you're in a different country, even though they're joined together. There is apparently still an ongoing debate about the use of Scottish banknotes in England. Now, there is nothing in the law to say that English stores have to take a Scottish banknote, and that's the same for Irish banknotes as well. And I have had it happen to me when I was in England, and I had Scottish £20 notes, and I was in a well-known supermarket chain, and I was buying things for someone else, and all I had was Scottish £20 notes, and they would not take that money. And I was really angry. It's still sterling. It's still the same currency. It is not a different currency, but the banknotes are printed in different banks and they're different colours and so on and so forth. And the reason that most places don't take them is because it's very difficult for them to tell if it's counterfeit. So this has kind of been remedied now because we have these new plastic banknotes. MD in the UK will know what I'm talking about. Everyone else, you just have to accept that it looks like Monopoly money. And I think that should change things because they are trying to pass a bill through again. Bill, no pun intended there either. An actual, like a legal bill. So that they have to take it because it's, you know, it's the same tender. It's still, you know, sterling is the legal tender of the UK. And I just find that very interesting because we have a lot of Irish people come over. Now, not so much now because I stay on the east side of Scotland, but when I stayed on the west, there was a constant through flow of Irish people because there's certain ports where they came over on the boat, and we would not think twice about taking an Irish £10 note or an Irish £20 note. It made no difference, and everywhere would take them. And but it's under the same, you know, the same laws and the same principles, and I just think it's quite interesting that in England they won't touch these notes, and yet us in Scotland we'll take anything. So it'll be quite interesting to see if it's passed. I don't see why it shouldn't be. Say now that the notes are so tamper proof now, and you know that it's very, very difficult to replicate them. So, but I thought that was a bit random because it's something that's been going on for years and years and years, and nothing's ever really been done about it. They tried once before and it was repealed, or something happened and it never, you know, the plan for it never went forward. I just think it's funny that it's kind of reared its head just now. But yeah, that's just one of those interesting things about being part of a union and the countries are very similar. But it's, we have this, I don't really want to get into politics in these videos because it's not a subject I like to talk about. I like to respect everyone's views and I don't like to put my views upon others. But we have devolved governments, so the Welsh have the Welsh Assembly and in Scotland we have the Scottish Parliament. So we have certain powers within our country, but some of our laws and things are governed by what is decided in Westminster in Parliament down in England, because that is technically, you know, the UK, we are the United Kingdom. So it's really complicated, it's really messy, and it just doesn't help things at all. But I think there's quite a lot of feeling of being a minority, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I can speak for the Welsh and the Northern Irish as well. Just to complicate things further, Northern Ireland is part of the UK, Southern Ireland is not. So that just makes it even more complicated, but that's a story for another day. So yeah, it's, you know, we're just not straightforward here at all, but I think that's maybe why some of us get fed up sometimes being lumped in with England and people thinking that being British means being basically English. And I'm talking like, you know, Austin Powers stereotypes. That we're not, we're very, very different. But people will often describe the Irish and the Scots as like, we're the wild ones. We're like the sort of feral, the feral Brits. We're not really, we're just different, that's all. But yeah, it makes for some interesting conversations. The other thing that I found interesting as well is when I first moved to England, everyone thought I was Irish. And how they figured that out, I don't know, but it wasn't like one person, it was a few people said to me, oh, are you Irish? And I was like, no, I'm Scottish. I don't even sound a little bit Irish. So yeah, I thought that was quite strange as well. But again, very different accents and you know, in different parts of Scotland, so I don't know. Quite often people ask me if I'm Glaswegian, and I'm not Glaswegian, but the accent in, you know, where I'm from is quite similar. It's quite close to the Glaswegian accent. It's just a lot more polite, and a little less, it's a bit softer, I think that's the phrase I'm looking for. But you know, you can understand people making that mistake, and I always say, oh, you're not far away, you're only like 20 miles the wrong direction. But for people to think that I'm Irish, I just think it's really odd, because I don't sound even remotely Irish, either north or south. But yeah, it's fun. I always keep bringing these conversations back around to accents and languages. Can you tell that it's something that I'm interested in? But yeah, what am I going to do with these? Another one of these boxes. I don't like these boxes. Right, I'm going to use the darkest pencil for this, I think. Okay, let's go for it. We'll make this really, really dark. So I'm going to press really, really heavy on this one, and then I'll maybe do a couple of layers on this side, and then this front facing part will just be one layer. That might work. Right, so yeah, let's go for this one again. How does that look? Look okay? Yeah, it looks okay. It's fine. Very close to that pencil line there. Oh, it's close for comfort. So there you go. That's a nice blend there. That's just perfect. Perfect, perfect. I'll go for this light colour. This is this rabbit that's got a funny shaped body. I never quite figured this one out. It's kind of weird. Kind of weird. But we're just going to go for it. It's like a rabbit crossed with like a bull or a... Because it's got very muscular like shoulders there. Very strange. So then, there's a kind of funny bit in here. This isn't really attached to anything. It's just like a sticky outy bit. This is where the difficulty comes in with Kerby's drawings, because sometimes you can't figure out what's supposed to be attached to what else. And when that happens, I find it easier to colour everything round about it first. And it just helps it sort of stand out on the page, and it maybe gives you a better idea of, you know, the shape of it and what it might be. That's quite a useful hint too, if you're trying to sort of sort out what belongs to what. I find that quite helpful sometimes. Plus as well, it gives you time to keep going back and squint at it to see if you're getting a better idea. But I genuinely think that that's not really attached to anything. It's just like a sticky outy bit. It's not very technical. Oh geez, sticky outy bit. Oh dear. Once again, consummate professional. Technical descriptions. This is going blunt really quickly, this pencil, and I can't actually sharpen it in the Tagala anymore because it's not long enough. Oh man, I need to go and get another sharpener. I've got my little bullet sharpener here. This one's quite good. My M&R. This is I use this sharpener for my graphite pencils most of the time, and I've just replaced the blade in it. I didn't actually realise how dull the blade was until I changed it. I was like, oh, okay, have a quick tea pit stop here. I'm not enjoying my tea today because I have run out of milk and I've had to use Mr. Jem's milk. I drink skimmed milk and Mr. Jem drinks full fat milk, so it tastes really greasy and really creamy, and you know, I can feel it like coating the inside of my mouth, and it's a feeling I'm not used to. See, because I drink skimmed milk, which is, you know, like almost no fat in it, and I'm really used to that, so I find his milk quite overwhelming. So I've not been so keen on my cups of tea today as I normally would be, but Mr. Jem is away out and about, so he's promised me he's going to bring me back some milk of my own, which is nice, because that would be good. It's just one of those things. I have been drinking skimmed milk for such a long time now, and I'm just really used to it. And that was something when I wanted to lose weight. It was one of the first things I did because I drink a lot of tea. I thought, well, if I cut out the fat that I'm taking in from the milk, I don't take a lot of milk in my tea. I drink my tea quite dark, but I thought that's just one way, somewhere where I won't really miss the calories, if you know what I mean. And the other thing is I don't take sugar in my tea anymore, and I haven't done for a long time, and I just don't miss it anymore. Because if I do things like that, then it means I can drink more beer. I was about to say and not get fat, but clearly that's not the case. Less fat, maybe. Oh dear. There's some things I will not give up though, that, you know, I refuse point blank. I will, you know, I can restrict my intake on certain things, but there's some things that I refuse to do it with, and I can't actually think of anything offhand now, but there are things where I'm like, no way, this is what I'm having, and that's it. One of them is beer. I will not give up beer. I do drink a lot less beer than I used to because it is very high in calories. I do tend to stick to spirits, and some of you know I like to drink Jack Daniels, but I am a total beer monster. I love beer, but I just try and not drink as much of it now and try and make better choices. The other thing as well, and this was a trick that I picked up at Weight Watchers many years ago, and it's something that's always stuck with me, is when you go to a restaurant, if they don't have an online menu or you don't have the chance to sort of plan ahead, pick something that has a tomato based sauce rather than a cream based sauce, and it's likely to be lower in calories. And I think being Italian, I oh goodness me, not prefer, but I kind of favour tomato based things anyway. I like tomatoes. Mr. Jem says I'm going to turn into a tomato because I have them with everything. So I found that quite easy, but it's just a nice sort of trick for me to remember when I'm out. But as I say, I don't really like cream based sauces anyway, so that's kind of an easy one. So there you go, that's a hint from the Weight Watchers archives. That's something that I actually, like, I was going to talk about, and I don't think I want to, in case someone that knows me goes to... I've not been getting... spit it out, Jem. I've not been getting on well at Weight Watchers, and it's a social thing. It's not anything to do with my weight loss, and it's kind of made me not want to go. And yeah, I'm not going to say anymore just in case someone sees this. I've got to be, I just don't know who's watching, but I haven't been to class for a long time, and there's reasons for it, but I can't really, yeah, I'm just going to stop talking. I maybe shouldn't mention this at all. I might cut this part out. I don't think anybody from my Weight Watchers class watches my videos, because again, most of them don't know that I've even got a YouTube channel, so I think I'm pretty safe, but just in case. But yeah, so that's more of a reason for me to get back out running. And I was running pretty regularly there for a couple of weeks, which was nice, and I was enjoying it because I do enjoy it. It's not a chore to me, I like it. But yeah, so we've got a lot of things going on just now, and there's things that I can't talk about. I have to keep secrets, and number one, I'm terrible at keeping secrets, and number two, I don't like keeping secrets. I don't like keeping things from people, especially if it's something that's going to affect them. But again, I've got to be careful because there's people watching this that know me, and you know who you are. Yeah, I'm talking to you. So there's some things that I just can't mention right now. They will not be secrets forever, but there's things going on that in my personal life that I can't really disclose at this stage. So there's kind of a lot of that going on in the background as well, so I'm trying to deal with that as well, and in the meantime do everything that I usually do, which is a lot of stuff. As you guys know, I'm busy, but I'm an organised kind of busy most of the time. Oh, there we go, this is looking quite good now. Getting quite excited about this. Okay, let's go for this. I was going to use multiple colours on this balloon area, on the striped area. So I think I might just go for it. Because it's so obviously it's only the part around the outside that's going to be touching the other things. So we can, you know, we can deal with that, that's fine. I've got more graphite here that I haven't rubbed out. Hooey. So I'll take the darkest one for these other sections. That'll probably give me the most contrast. I thought this was, the pencil that's in this pencil extender, I thought this was my original cobalt turquoise. I don't think it is. I think this is my second one. And if that's the case, that's quite impressive. Now that I think about it, it is my second one, because the original one I had from my original set, it was one of those ones that I had a lot of problems with breakages with. You know, I sharpened more of it away than actually using it. So that is my second one, and I've had far fewer problems with that one. I think it was just one of those ones, maybe it was dropped at some point, or it got, you know, bashed about in transit or something. I see a lot of people online complaining in colouring groups and to the manufacturer about the breakage in their pencils, and they're, you know, people are saying, oh, what kind of pencil sharpener could I buy? 9 times out of 10 it's nothing to do with the pencil sharpener. The pencil has gone through a trauma and the core is broken. Because they are soft though, you can let them, if you let them melt because they're wax based, and then you can fuse them back together basically. See, if you leave your Prismacolor sitting somewhere warm, if you're in a nice hot country, unlike here, in your car, you know, leave them in your car for a couple of hours and then let them come back to like a more normal room temperature. So basically what will happen is the cores will melt and all the broken bits will sort of squidge together once you cool them down again. If you're in the UK or another cold country, not excluding anyone else that lives in a cold country, on top of a radiator or like a heating vent, people have said about putting them in the microwave. Don't put your pencils in the microwave, for the love of God, don't do that. But you know, find somewhere warm and leave them there and let them get quite warm, and then let them cool down again. And sometimes that can fix, if you've got a core that's broken and it's broken most of the way through, that can help remedy that. But Prismacolors are so delicate just because they do have soft cores, and you're going to have to accept that if you have a pencil that's that soft and blends this well, that there is a chance that you may have problems with breakages. And a lot of it's to do with shipping. It's not actually it's not actually the build quality of the pencil, because the pencils are meant to be soft, but they come from Mexico, and if they're coming to the UK, that's a pretty dang long journey, you know. So having a good sharpener can help, especially I recommend the Tagal sharpener because it has the multi-point settings. So 1 is a really short fat stubby point and 5 is a really long skinny point. So by using the shorter stubbier ones, you've less surface area poking out from the wooden part of the pencil, therefore you're less likely to snap it off. And I found the Tagal sharpeners work really well. There seems to be a dud batch of the pink ones though. I had a pink one and it just didn't work. But I've had another one before that as well and it was fine. So I don't know, that was kind of weird. I don't know what was going on with that. But the yeah, I like those. I've heard people say as well that use electric sharpeners, like, or even like battery operated sharpeners. They've said that they tend to have less problems with breakages. So that's kind of good to know as well. I don't know if anybody can agree or disagree with that, but personally, I've had an odd pencil that's just been, it's just been a duffer basically, and I've not had much luck. But as I say, there's a high chance that they've maybe, you know, it's been dropped at some point or, you know, or something like that. So, but generally I haven't had a lot of problems with my Prismacolor pencils. But I'm very careful with mine as well. They live in a padded case and they don't travel with me. If I'm going anywhere, the Prismacolors get left behind. Like, yeah, they're not going with me, no chance. I usually take my Polychromos with me if I'm going somewhere. My Polychromos are very well travelled actually. Was this the pencil I was using? It is now. They are very, very well travelled. They've been to Mauritius. Went through Dubai airport with them in my hand luggage and everything was fine and nobody batted an eyelid. When I went to leave Mauritius, now Mauritius airport is tiny, like it is so small. You can walk it end to end in less than 10 minutes. And I got stopped at security coming out of Mauritius and they made me take out every single pencil out of every little slot in my, it was a Derwent carry-all I had them in, and they made me take out every single pencil, so all 120 pencils plus the graphite pencils I had with me, because they thought I might have stuffed something in the lining, you know, in the leaves, you know, that flap over. It was hilarious, it was really funny. Mr. James was like standing rolling his eyes, he's like, why did you have to bring those with you? It's like, because they're my pencils. He was not amused. I was, he wasn't. But the man that stopped me and was searching through my bag and everything was really nice. And I said to him, I was like, I'm, you know, like trying to explain to him, because my French isn't great, that I'd been drawing pictures. So I ended up pulling out my sketchbook and I'd just started Inktober at that point. So I was showing him all my Inktober pictures and he's going, oh yes, this is very nice. And I'm like, yeah, I'm an artist. That's the first time I've ever called myself an artist when I was at the airport. I was like, I'm not smuggling things, I'm an artist. I don't know what the people in the queue behind me were thinking about that right enough, but it was quite amusing. Oh dear. So there you go. The Mauritian security is pretty tight, but quite rightly so. They are like really strict on illnesses and things. Before you land in Mauritius, you get like a 4-second warning in case you've got contact lenses in, and the air stewardesses, or the stewardesses, is that the right word now? Stewards and stewardesses, flight attendants, there you go. The flight attendants walk up the aisles and they spray you, they basically decontaminate you before you get off the plane, and it's in case you have, you know, if you're carrying any sort of ailments or bugs that maybe aren't present on Mauritius, because obviously they don't want people bringing things like that in. So you're knackered, especially if you've flown from the UK, it's a really long flight. And when you get there, you're hardly got your wits about you, and before you know where you are, you've been sprayed with something, and you're like, oh, I am not a bug. What's going on? That was quite disconcerting. And then when they actually finally explained to us what it was for, we were like, right, okay, but you know, a bit more, oh, that's the wrong pencil. A bit more warning would have been nice. But then they made it up to us by giving us nice hot flannels, you know, for your face to freshen up. And I was like, oh yeah, this is great. They were so nice. They were so good. I really liked that. When we got off, we stopped at Dubai airport. That was like our stopover. And we landed in Dubai at, I think it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, like local time. And when we were stood waiting to get off, and when the plane door opened, I thought I was going to expire. It's like, if you've ever got a really hot oven, see if you're making like Yorkshire puddings or, you know, something that you need a really hot oven for. When you open the door of the oven, that was what happened when the door of that plane opened. It was 39 degrees Celsius at 3 o'clock in the morning. And it was stifling. It was horrible. And I looked at Mr. Jem and I was like, I think I'm going to melt into a puddle before we get to the terminal. And we got on, they took us in a bus because Dubai airport is absolutely huge. I'm pretty sure it's one of the biggest airports in the world. It is gargantuan. And they took us on a bus to take us to whichever building we were supposed to be in. And the heater was on in the bus. And I couldn't cope with it. I had like a long gypsy skirt on and I was stood there, and of course you're all packed in like sardines to get to the terminal building, and I could feel sweat running down the back of my thigh, like into the back of my knee. And I was just saying to myself, you know, I was like, oh, please don't let this journey be, you know, to take us a long time, because I actually might, you know, there's a high probability that I'm going to pass out. It was so hot. And obviously when you're on an aeroplane, they do tend to keep it a little bit cooler. But being a person from Scotland where we're used to cold temperatures anyway, it was the most horrible experience. I have never felt heat. And it wasn't even the fact that it was that kind of heat. It was the fact that it was 3 o'clock in the morning. You would expect temperatures like that during the day. But to have that in the middle of the night was just, oh, it was outrageous and it was awful. And any notion I may have had about going to Dubai on holiday, it's not a place I would want to go anyway, but that's like seriously put me off. I'm all for like heat and sunshine and stuff, and you know, I really appreciate it being Scottish because we don't get a lot of it, but Dubai, that would be too much for me. That would really be too much. 39 degrees is not fun. It's not fun for anybody. So yeah, there you go, be warned. That's just not nice at all. I have no idea what that would be in Fahrenheit. I'm not very good with my Fahrenheit conversions. In fact, do you know what? I'm going to look it up right now. Okay, 102. 102 Fahrenheit. In the middle of the night. Dang, that's warm. 102. I'm just keeping an eye on the timer. I am actually over time here, and I'm not going to... I was kind of hoping to finish like this one ring in this colour, but I'm pushing it just now, so I'm gonna have to call it quits. So I'm just gonna stop here. Naturally, for next time, all I will do is finish the ring that I'm working on. I won't go any further than that, but I'm gonna have a little zoom out now so that you can see how this is coming on. And you can see how this gradient's starting to work out. There are going to be a few places where it is obvious, and one of them is down here, and this is because of our aforementioned fishy situation. And what it's actually done is it's accentuated the fact that it carries on over the top of this whale because it's quite a wide expanse. You know, there's quite a lot of surface area in there where the gradient sits. But apart from that, as you can see, if you look round, it's actually very soft and very gentle, and that was exactly what I was wanting to go for. So I hope that you are enjoying this so far and you still think that it's going to turn out well. I was a little bit sceptical, but if anybody's going to take a risk, it's going to be me, and I would rather take the risk and have you guys know that you like the look of it or you don't, than you try and putting in all the hard work and then deciding you don't like it. I hope that makes sense too. I think it does. But anyway, right guys, thank you so much for listening to my waffling. I hope you have enjoyed this part of the Chatorial, and we shall see you in a week or so for the next part. Have a good day everyone, and we'll speak to you all later.